Hey everybody, welcome to Watching Code Office Hours. This is session number 60. And if you're new to Office Hours for Watching Code, the purpose is to help you get unstuck with any issues you may have with the coursework at watchingcode.com. So whatever questions you have about the material, you can ask me one-on-one and I'll help you out and make sure that everything's good. Before we start, a couple logistics. First, you'll want to join the Facebook group to get more info about upcoming sessions and their other updates about new content and stuff like that. So there's a link in the document. This document is linked in the YouTube live stream description, so you can find it by looking at the YouTube description. Next is if you have a question you want to ask, the best way to do that is by calling into the Google Hangout. So the link to do that is right here. So again, go to the YouTube live stream description, and then you'll get to this document where you'll find this link. You can also ask questions in the live chat, but I sometimes miss those. So, hey, Jason, I sometimes do miss those. So if you want to make sure you get your question answered, you'll want to call into the Hangout. Next, student of the week is Yat. Yat's, for many of you, a familiar face, and I haven't really highlighted this aspect of Watching Code very much, but I think it's really important, which is the reviews. So Yat, a long time ago, wrote a really nice review and kind of went above and beyond and even wrote a blog post about it too. And so if you go to practicaljavascript.net, or you can go to this URL, you can see Yat's review. Maybe I'll read an excerpt from the blog. So he wrote a blog post about it. Great title. And also highlighted one of the things that I like the most about the course, which is the lesson on comparisons with objects, and was just really what I like most about the blog post is, when people really understand your work and can notice the little details, it means a lot because you're like laboring over all these details. But it's also a reminder for me, like which parts of the course are clear, which parts of the course people like more, and like why people like it. And this is a really good reminder for me. And just wanted to thank Yacht for taking the time to help Watching Code, to help tell other students about it, and really go above and beyond and like not only write a review but also write a blog post about it. So check it out. I think the stuff he says is very similar to a lot of the experiences pretty much everyone else has. So thanks, Yacht, student of the week. Let me get a link to that. I'll link to Yacht's blog too. Second is public service announcement and new stuff. So there's a whole new series on this keyword. It's at the end of Practical JavaScript, so I can grab that link for you too. So way at the end of Practical JavaScript, there's this whole interlude on understanding this right here, and you have to log in to see it, but this is a link to that lesson, and highly recommend that you watch this. Even if you finish Practical JavaScript and you're in the more advanced premium content, you should still go back and watch this because it reinforces and goes into a lot of detail that I previously didn't go into regarding this keyword, and it's just a lot more clear, I think. So I made these videos based on really detailed feedback from a lot of you all, just telling me like, oh, like the way you explained this part was a little bit confusing, or that part was a little confusing, or had trouble with this aspect of different lessons. And so this series of videos on this is it kind of bakes in all that stuff I've been hearing over the last like year or two. So it's really good, and it's really a requirement and prerequisite to get to the next level in JavaScript. If you can't understand this, you're not going to have you can't really do anything. So it's kind of like it's one of those things where you have to understand it well, otherwise you're screwed. So that's why you should do it. And of course, if you have any questions now, it's a good time to ask. I know a lot of you all have already watched the video series, so if you do have a question, right now would be a good time to ask. So that's it. So open questions. So I guess I'll just call on people as they, in the order that they join the chat. But that's all I have for you. So I'll start with, I think it was Jonathan that was first. All right, so let me stop sharing.
Actually, I don't have any questions today, really. I haven't gotten to this lesson yet. I did see some of that last week when you started talking about it before you posted it. Because remember, that was part of our conversation last week. We were helping one of the other students with understanding case 5, I believe it was. So when I get there, I'm sure I'll have more questions about it.
Got it.
My only other question / curiousness is understanding the brackets, curly braces. I get lost sometimes. As you go deeper and deeper into, like, for example, version 6, when we're adding the toggle all features and whatnot. I tend to get lost in because you have the for statement, then you have curly braces, and you have the if statement, then curly braces, and then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper into that, into that function or that method. So when I go back and look at the code, sometimes I get lost as to where the containers are, So I ended up actually rewriting it from beginning to end, and commenting each ending curly brace with what it was the end of. So that helped me a little bit. But is there another way? I mean, aside from formatting and indentation, is there any other suggestions that you might make that would help me to be more spatially aware? Because I'm sure yourself, who look at this for years all day, you can probably look at something and you can very easily see where things start and end because you're used to it. Aside from just doing it all the time, is there any other way or any other tips to get better at understanding the delineation in between the nesting sequences? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. There are little things that can help, so I can share my screen. So there are very small cues that you can look at in your browser. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
So if I have var Jonathan, and then I have, say that one property is like your house, which is another object, right?
Right.
And then your house has like a garage, which is another object.
Right.
And let's say your garage also has a function. Why not? Open. Okay. So if you're just starting, you may not notice that the console is actually pretty helpful. What it does is it will highlight matching parentheses and matching curly braces. So these two are matching. That's why they're both underlined.
Right.
Same with these two. They're both.
I see it now.
And then this extends to other situations too. See?
Cool.
Then again, easy to miss that. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that's definitely helpful. But one thing that's really helpful is you want to be consistent with your indentation. So if you indent correctly and you just go down, so that the house object starts right here, right before the H. If you just go straight down, you'll get to the ending one. And if you indent consistently, that should always work as well.
Yeah. The other thing I did notice was in Plunker, it has little drop-down arrows on the line numbers that you can collapse and expand the sections for each set of braces, which is, I didn't notice that right away, but that also helped a little bit too. I could go back and collapse everything that I wasn't looking at, and it was easier to see when I had maybe an extra curly brace that I didn't need or whether I was missing something. So that helped too.
Yeah, that's not as helpful because it's more like onerous. It's more annoying to do that, and then you
Yeah.
lose, and then you can't. It actually hides stuff from you because in the practical JavaScript code base, you can see the whole thing on a page, so there's no point of collapsing it.
Right.
And so I think that's where you want to rely on really consistent indentation. So you'll notice when I code in the course, the indentation is always consistent. So that rule, if you start an object and just go down, you'll hit the end of it, right? So if you, that's a pretty easy way to always know where it starts and ends. And then you get that visual help as well.
Right. That's cool. Yeah.
So that's always been enough for me.
I think
and
part
I
of
think
it too is,
you'll get more comfortable over time as well.
yeah, as I was just going to say, I think that part of it is too. It's still, I'm still looking at Greek in some regards. You know, it's like I understand. I have no problem understanding what the functions do or what the methods do or how they work together. Or none of that stuff is confusing to me at all. In fact, it's becoming very easy. But it's trying to read it that's becoming the hard part. Like try to follow like through down the code base and read it as it goes and understand, okay, this happens here, then this happens here, then this happens here, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. I think reading is one of the hardest things, and what you've noticed, which is surprising to a lot of beginners at first, is that reading your own code can be very difficult too, because you've just forgot about it or you didn't indent. Like when you first write a nested object a couple layers deep, as you're writing it, it's clear how things match up. But then when you look at it again, if your indentation's not consistent, then you get lost. And that's when you start having issues. So the indentation is really important.
I know we said last week to hell with best practices, but I think maybe this is one that is good to get into a good habit of right away. You know, is writing readable code, not only for yourself or not only for others, but also for yourself.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean that's not what I meant with the
I know
thing last week about best practices, but yeah, your sentiment is I agree with it. Any other questions? That's a good one. That question is one of those things that is not like doesn't obviously hold people back, but but it can hold you back in like weird naggy ways. So it's a good thing to think about.
It was like, okay, I want to go back and change something, but where did this one start and where did it end? Man, I got to go back and pair them up mentally and go, oh shit, you know. So
cool, awesome. Do you have any other questions, Jonathan? Where are you in the course right now?
Version 6.
Okay.
Just finished up the toggle all function for the To-Do app, which is cool. It's nice to finally start to see things come, to completion almost.
Got it. Cool. Awesome. We'll keep up the work. What's the goal for this week?
Finish 6 and 7, and then probably I think 8 is the interlude with the this stuff. Is that 8? Or is that 9?
No, I don't think so.
I
think there's another one before. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 3 or 4 versions probably.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. We'll keep up the good work, and yeah, come next week if you have questions too.
Will do.
All right. So next we got Renee. Are you there, Renee? I muted you, so you have to unmute yourself. Renee? All right, Renee. If you've stepped away, just message in the chat when you come back, and I'll get back to you. So, but now I'll move on. Move on to Sagir. Sagir?
Hey, hi Gordon. Good morning.
Hey,
I mean,
morning. What time is
evening
it?
there.
What time is it in
It's
Bangalore?
6:30,
Damn.
6:30 a.m. right now. I woke up a little early today to be on the office hours.
Nice. Well, thanks. Thanks
Uh,
for doing that.
yeah, this is my first office hours ever
Oh,
since
really?
I've been with Boston Coffee. Yeah, the first time
Nice.
I'm on time. Cool.
Um,
So,
do you have any questions I can help with?
uh, there's no specific question as such, but right now I'm going through the prototypes section in
Hmm.
accounting JS, the part 8th and 9th. So yesterday, I had to watch sections of the video over and over, like 25 times almost, to wrap my head around the whole concept of prototypes. Like where I was not able to get it is when, like we used prototype without a constructor first, with just an object, and then the second time around we used constructors, and there's a difference in how the basically the JavaScript engine attaches new properties.
Right. One's less direct than the other.
Yeah,
Right.
so let me share my screen. I have I don't know, so it's not coming up.
Alternatively, I can share my screen and then you can guide me.
Yeah,
Do you want to do
that
that?
would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Is a
So
blank console okay? Or did you want me to open to a specific page?
blank console is good.
Okay.
Uh, so let's do one example where we use the prototype without constructors.
Okay.
Let's just do a dog object and put a fetch method on it, and then use object create to create initialize an instance, and
Okay.
then
Let's do one thing at a time. So you want a dog
yeah,
object with a fetch method on it?
yeah.
All right. Okay. And I'll just for demonstration,
Yeah.
so it won't do anything interesting. But okay.
Fetch, yeah, let's print fetch inside object, maybe that'll be more specific.
What?
Then let's log fetch inside object. Yeah,
They fetch what? I don't understand.
fetch inside object.
You want me to write out that string?
Yeah,
Why?
that'll be more clear, more specific.
Really?
But I don't know, maybe
Why is that important?
it's not very important, but
Yeah, let's keep going.
okay, cool. So let's create a my dog using object create.
Okay.
Great.
Hit enter.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then we could use a constructor and set the name property to a name parameter,
Okay.
name argument. Set.
So you wanted a name
Yeah,
that, and then
and then maybe we could put the fetch method on the dog.prototype outside of this.
that. That what you mean?
Uh, no, I would want to put it outside of this on the dog.prototype.
Oh, you're gonna put on the prototype. Okay. this.
Good. Console log fetch inside of dog.prototype. So this is the reason why I was telling for the first to be specific. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's initialize a variable my dog with constructor and use new dog. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. Now if we inspect my dog and my dog with constructor object, let's just print the yeah.
Okay. And then you want to just print it out.
Yeah. Print the other one. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, there is no fetch and oh, it must be the prototype. Okay.
Well, the fetch is on the prototype.
Yeah. And the proto for now this one difference, the constructor method that comes, I understand that it is coming because it's a constructor, but this is like really new to me. I still am not very comfortable with the concept. Although I think I have understood things, it just doesn't feel like naturally coming like most of the other things.
Right.
So
I see.
is there any specific tips or how do you go
So
about
let's inspect dog.prototype. So all prototype functions or all prototype objects have a constructor property that points to like the original function. So if you, I don't know how much information you'll show, but this constructor will point to
Yeah.
that. So if you do dog.prototype.constructor, you see?
Right.
So prototype function prototypes like dog.prototype it just has that. And you can see if you even do empty function, like this is not meant to be used as a constructor. It's empty. But if you do empty function dot prototype, you see it still has that property. So function dot prototype is just like it always has it. It's just a thing that's special to function dot prototype. Yeah. If you create the prototype yourself, of course, it only has what you put on it. It wouldn't make sense to put a constructor property on it because it doesn't have a constructor though, right? So in this case, like you kind of get an object that's similar to an empty object, but it's not quite empty, is what you're seeing. So it's slightly different.
Right.
I don't really know why this is super useful. My guess is that when you see, I think my guess is so that you can get information where you can see that I may not be right about this. This is one of those things I've just been like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it's never actually been an issue for me here and I haven't had to know it. So I haven't, like, I don't know exactly if this is true, but you see constructor points to the dog function, the original constructor function. And what that allows you to do is instances of dog. Sorry, I'm trying to highlight this part. I won't try to highlight it. But instances of dog, you can see that they're made with the dog constructor. So it gives you a little bit more information. Whereas if you look at the object that was made from my dog, it just says object. But object is interesting because if you think about it, an object that looks like this was made from the object constructor. Right? So it tries to tell you what function created the object. But I mean, I don't think that's actually very helpful. But when you're inspecting objects, you do notice that, right? So when you log a object to the console, you typically will see the constructor that was responsible for creating it on the left side. So you see that right here, right? And you also see it right here as well. But I mean, the utility of that, I don't know. I don't know. You may be able to find a very academic article that talks about it, but I haven't found like a specific use for that.
Yeah, maybe I'll read a little more about this on MDN. That might
I mean, we can try.
give me a
So
little more insight.
constructor property on function prototype. Let me Google it.
Okay, I can see it on your screen. I was only sharing the tools, I guess.
All right.
Oh, I was also wondering, since you showed me that, can you reassign this object.prototype.constructor?
I would. I mean, I don't. Even if you can, you shouldn't. Like why would you do that? Like,
yeah,
I think I mentioned this
out
to
of
you before.
curiosity.
Like, a lot of people ask, like, can you do this? Maybe, but a better question is like, why? So it's unlikely that you. I guess it's like it can be appealing to think of fake use cases, but I kind of discourage you from doing that unless you actually have a problem where you're like, man, I wish I could change that. Then that's the right time to do it. But to just like think about every abstract permutation of how things could work and is good if you have a lot of free time, but probably not the best use of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So if we glance at this article really quickly, returns a reference to the object that created the instance. So so all objects will have a constructor property. Displaying the constructor. It hasn't told us why we need it yet. Displaying the constructor of an object. Still hasn't told us. I guess you can change it. It doesn't say why you would do that though. Yeah. So this documentation is not super useful. It just tells you it exists. But again, like, so it's not that helpful, but just know it exists.
Yeah, and this line is helpful. The value of a constructor does not, it said, the value of the property is a reference to the function itself, not a string containing the function's name.
Yeah. Well, you can see that from right here.
GitHub tools. Yeah.
Sorry, let me switch my
If you're
screen.
showing us the tools, we can't see it yet. No.
Yeah, so you can see that from right here. And that's why you can actually call the function too. Right, so you can do like, you can actually do new empty function dot prototype dot constructor, and you get an object back, which is kind of weird, but so yeah, I guess my question is, does the prototype stuff make sense in the context of accounting.js? That's an important thing, not to think about every single combination that you make up.
Yeah, I think everything that is covered in the video is clear to me. I might just need to review it once or twice, and then that's it. I'll be good to go.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Good.
That's it.
That's it from my side. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I think
this is going pretty smooth and solid.
Yeah, I think constructors is one of those things where it's like people obsess over it unnecessarily. The core ideas are pretty simple. And the way people tend to use them in real programming and good code tends to be very simple. I find that when people, I think people abuse the prototype system a lot. They want to create like very heavily, like very long layers of inheritance. And I think that's just because you can do that doesn't mean you should, because it requires everybody to know that entire chain. And it's not,
Yeah.
and it probably will require writing the chain down on a piece of paper so you can like wrap your head around it. And that's like a very large tax on like everybody forever into the future, as well as yourself
Absolutely.
after you forget.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to add that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really don't, I've seen a lot of code like that, and I really don't like code like that. Ideally having like one, maybe two layers is fine. And you find that in like, for example, in the JavaScript language, you see maybe 2 layers. So one example is, everything's built on object. So you have object and then array that inherits from object. And that's pretty much it, right? So same thing with like,
Arrays.
I just said array. I can't think of any examples, but array was the one that came to mind. Yeah, and then if you build something on top of object, then you add one extra layer too, right? So, but you still have that implicit first layer, which you started with the object constructor to start with.
Right. No, makes sense. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So it looks like Renee's back.
Yes, great. Do you hear me, Gordon?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this is my first live stream, so I just woke up at 3 o'clock.
Your hair looks great. Looks
I
like
had
you
some coffee, so yeah, I think I can ask my question now. At 6 at the movie Toggle All, if everything's true, make everything false. And I have written down all the code, and I understand all the code, the ideas behind it. But if I want to add an item within the console, Zool, then
Wait, sorry. Can you say the last thing? If you want to add an item in the console.
yeah. When I want to add an item in the console, then I get an error. I don't know how to fix this error. So I'm testing the video, and I get this error. So I cannot proceed from here on. And I've tried a few things, but this error keeps occurring.
Can you so are you in Plunker? Can you share the link to your Plunker in the chat? Then I'll take a look.
Here it is.
So do you see on the, so take a look at my screen. Share the link to your Plunker right here on the right side. You may have to click this left blue button to expand it. See?
I see your.
Yeah, so look at my screen, the right side. Type in your, paste in your link there. And you may have to click this left-hand chat to pop it in and out.
You know?
Did you paste it in?
Yeah, I pasted it in the chat.
I don't see it. All right. Well, while you're figuring that out, I'll come go to Thomas. Alternatively, Renee, you could also paste it on the YouTube live stream. So, right here, you could paste it right here as well, and then we would see it if that's easier for you. So you got those two options.
Thank you. I will say when I have pasted it in,
Okay.
and I get back at you later.
Okay. Alternatively, you could paste it to the Facebook group too, and then just tell me and I'll check it.
Okay.
So you got options.
Yeah. Paste it now at Facebook.
Hey, what's up, Thomas?
Hey Gordon, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, good. Just listening in on this, and then is it Sagir? Am I pronouncing that right?
Sagir.
Sagir, sorry. Yeah, I was listening to Sagir just talk about prototypes, and I just want to say, like, when I went through that section, I remember thinking, like, this all makes sense now, and now it's been a couple months, and like a lot of it, I'm like, I can't remember that at all, right? Because in my day to day, I'm not doing it too much, but just now going back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, that inherits from this, and little things like that. So I think it is one of those things that takes a lot longer to kind of sink in, and the more exposure, the better, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, I think for me too. I think I had trouble learning prototypes. Probably the same reason Sagir. It got like what Sagir's saying kind of reminds me of the same thing, where you see all these like little things that are like little details that look slightly different, and then it bothers you, and then you question whether you know how things work. But I think what I try to do in the lessons is really distill the two important things that you need to know, which is how to create prototype relationships with object create, how to inspect those relationships, and then how to do the same thing with constructors. And that's it. And so that doesn't mean that that's everything you could possibly ever know about constructor functions, but it is what you need to know. And if you know more stuff than that, it's not. I think a lot of people, I think this is a problem with a lot of blog posts on the topic, is they like to kind of take pride in how detailed they get, but you don't win an award for knowing every single thing. I mean, like, there's no award for being the know-it-all, right? So like, for example, even with the constructor property on function.prototype, it's like, it might make you feel a little bit better to know that, maybe. Like, maybe that's one of those things that, at least since it pops up in the console, but it's not really going to make you more effective. And it's definitely not going to hold you back. And so that's why I chose to be like, screw it. Maybe I'll mention it later, but it's not like foundational. So
yeah, and I think with prototypes, if you have a basic understanding of what's happening and you know that it's not magic, a lot of it you can kind of look up when you run into something. Right. Like if you have a general sense that things can inherit from other things and that they're pointing to them and it doesn't maybe exist on that object, but it exists on its prototype or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that gets you pretty far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you get the context to learn about things in depth if you want to, because mm-hmm. you know the main thing, and then you can learn about little tiny things that don't matter if you like to. Thomas, did you have a question? Anything I can help you with?
Nope. No question. Yeah, I haven't watched this video, so I'll definitely have to go take a look at them and just see. Just good reminder on that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that video is for you. I feel like you understand this keyword pretty well, but I do talk about the difference between apply and call, which I think you already know. But
yeah,
I don't think I specifically called that out in the past. And then the second thing, I mean, it's just a minor difference. But I think the thing that I really focused on quite a bit is how to identify this when you have a callback function and trying to point out that it's the same. Like,
yeah,
the thing you want to notice is like when you just look at the callback function itself, you can't tell, and you have to see how the higher order function calls the callback, and that's when you can find out. But when you're in that context, it's the same as if you weren't in a callback, right?
right. Yeah,
I think that trips a lot of people up. And then I also talk about like how a function returned from bind cannot be bound to another this value,
yeah,
which is relevant in the jQuery series, because that happens, right? So because you pass a function returned from bind into jQuery's on method, which then tries to rebind it to the element.
got
Right,
it. Yeah,
so-
I remember something about that.
So there's a conflict, and the first one wins. So I kind of set that foundation up, so then in the jQuery series and the more advanced stuff, I can just be like, you already know this. Here's an example. Whereas I think before that series was released on Saturday or whatever, whenever I released it, it would have been hard to see that as clearly. Like you could piece it together, but I think this series just makes it very obvious.
Right.
So yeah.
Why do you think it's so important for people to understand this? You said that you can only get to a certain level if you don't understand this. What is it about this that you find so I don't know how to say it, fundamental?
It just shows up a lot. It just shows up all the time, and it's not like one particular case shows up more than another case. All the cases show up with equal frequency, and so it's not like with prototypes, for example, you could watch that 10 minutes I have on it and be good, maybe for the rest of your career, and feel really good about it, and not know about even the function prototype constructor property. It wouldn't even matter. But with this, you need to be very comfortable with writing the 5 cases and be more comfortable with identifying the 5 cases, because it just shows up all the time. And if you're modifying modifying code that uses a particular case and you swap it for another case unknowingly, you're gonna break your app, which is bad, right? So
yeah,
and then you've seen too, like in React, for example, you've seen it comes up all the time.
Yeah, always.
Always, yeah. And so it just shows up a lot. And what's very scary to me is that a lot of people, they can't avoid using this, but so they use it, but they don't understand what they're doing.
Right.
And that just that's a recipe for broken.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
default broken is what I would say. Like if I had anyone on my team that didn't understand this, I would just assume everything they wrote is broken and just feel like I had to I mean, it would just be faster for me to just teach them so that I don't worry about them fucking everything up. So yeah, it's that important.
Right. I know you have a background in Python, so this may be off topic, but does it behave differently in other languages? Is this in JavaScript like a particular special issue, right? Because I guess it depends on how you call the function. Is that true for other languages? I don't know.
I don't
Is
remember.
it
It's been years since I've done
Okay.
Python, and honestly, I don't even remember.
yeah.
I can't even remember if there is this in Python.
I-
I can't remember. I mean, I've been using just JavaScript for a very long time. I'm actually curious now. Let's see. Oh yeah. So Python has a similar thing. It's like called self.
Okay.
And it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. So, I mean, most languages do have a variable to refer to for an object to refer to itself. That's very common. So you see that
Right.
with case 2, the left of the dot rule is that case. The Python definitely has that. I think that it often will not mix that. Most languages won't mix the global context and mix it up with the self idea as well. I think
Right.
that's unusual.
Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
Definitely makes things more confusing, right? So, I think that is unusual. I might be wrong. I'm definitely not a language expert, and I forgot Python basically.
Okay.
um, yeah, I think it's funny how you forget everything. Like I don't remember Java or C++, which I did too, but whatever. I don't need to.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
but,
this works definitely in C++ as well.
with what?
I've done I've done a bit of C++ earlier, and this behaves differently in C++ as well. So I think the implementation of this is different across languages. It might vary.
Yeah, I think there will be similarities, but a lot of differences. Like nothing will quite be exactly the same. Anything else, Thomas?
No, that's it. I haven't watched the second regex video, so I've got to take a look at that and play around with it.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know, find some use cases for it, and I could probably refactor some old code that I have that does very ridiculous things with regex, right?
Mhm.
When I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just copied things off Stack Overflow, and it's like, I'm sure this will work, right? So yeah, but it'll be fun to play around with it a bit.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Wait 1 second. So Devin puts in the Slack that the link to the Hangout was broken. Let me test that.
Yeah, it's got 3 dots. It's got an ellipsis in between, and that's why the link doesn't work. I tried it, so I got the link
What?
off Facebook.
Where is the bad link posted?
Slack channel, the general,
Oh, in Slack.
yeah.
I wonder why that happened. Oh, you pasted the correct one.
Yeah. It basically Slack took the link literally, the 3 dots in the link.
So weird. Okay, cool. Thomas, stick around. I want to talk to you after the broadcast. All right, so back to Renee. I saw your link. Let me open that up. How should I do this? Development. Okay, let me share my screen, Renee. Okay, so what's the problem? And what do I do? First, tell me what I can do so I can see the problem. Renee? You're muted.
So what's the problem?
Do you hear me?
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, tell
Can you
what
turn
I-
the sound off? Or
so I can see the
I
problem.
hear myself.
Renee?
Yeah. If you add another item, to-do list, add to-do, and
So
then
what's the problem?
do you hear
What do I
me?
do? Yeah.
Okay.
First, tell me what I sound off. Or
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there's now just one streaming.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah, if you add another item in the console, then an error comes up.
your code's broken. Expected. Did you know you had a typo right here? You had a comma instead of a semicolon. Okay, anyway. So what should I do?
Yeah, if you add an item in the console, then
Okay.
do you see the error that comes up? On code reference error. To-do list is not defined.
Where?
In the console.
I don't see it. Do you see my screen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so this should work now in my Plunker as well.
Did you? So you have to make sure that you're in Plunker preview target. So right here in this red section, you have to make sure you're in Plunker preview target. If you're at top, so if it says top, to-do list won't work. We get something like that.
Yeah, in the Plunker preview section, yes.
Yeah, so you have to be in Plunker preview target, and if you are, it should work. I mean, I also changed. You had a typo here.
The typo, yeah. Okay. Let's the to-do list first. Oh, I'm in Plunker. In the preview mode. Plunker preview target.
Yeah, so if you have to do everything that I did, it should work. So here you go. I'll give you this new. I'm gonna give you back this URL, and you can use it, and it should be good. You see in the Google chat. So I just gave you this project.
Yeah, it's probably something easy, but I will check this out and work with this then, and it will be solved.
It should be, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I just used it and it works fine. So
okay.
So the main thing is you got to make sure you're in Plunker preview. You have to hit run, and then make sure you're in Plunker preview target, and then you should be good.
Yeah.
And that's it. So You want to try it? You want to share your screen and try it?
Yeah.
Can you share your screen?
Show my screen.
Hmm?
How do I show my screen?
There's a green button on the top left.
Below the chat button.
This is my first live stream, so yeah, I'm really a layman in this.
Here, I'll show you. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
you see it? So Renee, look at my screen. You see the left? Yeah.
Share it. You can see it now.
Yep. You have a bunch of syntax errors. So go to the link that I gave you. The bottom one, yeah. You can you hit run.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I did something wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah, I think what you want to do when you have problems with the code not running, if it works, like for example, right now it works. If you start adding code and it doesn't work again, it's possible, but incredibly unlikely that it's a Plunker issue. So it's probably a typo. So
it was a typo at the end of the document.
right, exactly. So what you want to do when you're first starting and you're new to programming, finding typos is difficult, and you can't just glance over it like text. You can't glance over it like the way that if someone give you some like a story and they want you to edit the story, you can't just glance over it and look for misspellings and stuff like you would with normal writing. You have to go character by character. And
I thought I did that, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it very carefully. And so you have to, at every single character, ask yourself, is it right? Compare it against the example project. And that sounds very tedious, but once you get better, you might not have to do that. So like, for example, for me, usually I can spot errors very quickly, but it's because I have a lot of practice. And then once in a while, I have to go through character by character. But at the beginning, I had to do character by character like all the time, right? So then gradually over time, you'll get better at it and it won't be so tedious, but kind of just like embrace the tedium and just accept that it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And I think when you approach like that, then you'll have a healthy expectation of like how long it will take to find things and stuff, rather than like just glance at it. Because I think the problem is a lot of students will spend like 20 minutes on a problem, but what they'll do is they'll look through it really quickly over and over again, like 100 times. Whereas if they maybe looked through character by character like once or twice, they would have fixed it, right? And so like you just really have to slow down. It's not you can't rush through it. And the error messages Jonathan pointed out can be helpful too. But often the error messages, they don't pin they'll give you the general vicinity of where the problem is, but they often won't give you the exact point where the problem is. So it can help, but you still have to go character by character. There's no way to avoid that. Yeah, it's a good starting point, but it's not gonna. It doesn't fix everything.
Yeah. Okay, I will work on. Work on that.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like being more methodical
Hmm.
is how I would describe it.
Yes.
All right, cool. So seems like those are all the questions. Let me
Yeah.
check. Renee, did you have any other questions?
And no, that was my only question
Okay, cool.
for now.
Um, all right, so it looks like there are no questions on the YouTube live stream. Check the Facebook. Check if there are any questions there. Nope. All right, so then I'll wrap up. And what I often do is have a more casual chat after the broadcast ends. So if you want to come chat and a little bit after this broadcast ends, call into the Hangout. But if you're just watching and you just wanted to check out the questions and answers, then thanks for joining, and keep up the good work, and come next week with more questions, and look forward to helping you with that. So everyone, thank you for joining, and hope to see you next week. And if you haven't yet, you want to join the Facebook group to stay up to date with everything. All right, everyone. So ending the broadcast now. If you want to continue chatting, join the Hangout, and we'll chat for another like 20, 30 minutes.